Nestled along the coastline of Johor, just 74 kilometers away from the bustling metropolis of Singapore, lies an audacious vision that seems torn from the pages of a futuristic novel, Malaysia's Forest City. This thriving real estate and urban development project cost around $100 billion and promised to marry luxury living with environmental sustainability and cutting-edge technology, envisioning a home for over 700,000 residents in a reimagined urban landscape. As whispers of innovative architecture and lush green spaces filled the air, the world looked on with curiosity. Forest City represents the crossroads of aspiration and reality in the realm of urban development. It illustrates how geopolitical factors, environmental issues, and market misjudgments can pose significant challenges to even the most financially backed mega projects. Although it stands as a beacon of innovation, its difficulties underscore the intricate challenges associated with constructing cities from the ground up, as it is currently less than 1% occupied. So you might be wondering, what went so wrong here? In answering that question, the first thing to explore is the notion that the project was simply too ambitious for its own good. But before we get into it, for some perspective, there are many mega projects that truly prospered in their huge ambitions, such as the Songdo International Business District in South Korea, which has emerged as a model of sustainability and smart urban design, featuring extensive green spaces, advanced transportation systems, and a focus on pedestrian access that has fostered a thriving ecosystem. Similarly, in India, the city of Lavasa has been successful and has shown promise to keep thriving. Developed along the lines of the state of Maharashtra near Pune, this mega project had a $3 billion price tag. The model was designed on that of the Italian with its carefully planned layout that ensured that the natural environment was preserved. Although the infrastructure can support the growing population, it has so far attracted 25,000 residents. But sadly, with only 9,000 residents, Forest City is a different story. So let's trace it back to the beginning and try to work out why it fails in comparison. After being announced in 2006, construction didn't start until 2014, and the massive endeavor wasn't officially launched until 2016. Foreseen as a futuristic metropolis, the scale of development was nothing short of colossal, hence why it was set to be a 20-year-long investment project. The promise was to deliver an island off the coast of Malaysia that would be self-contained, equipped with its own schools, offices, restaurants, golf courses, ultra-modern malls, beaches, and a plethora of other luxury amenities. It even positioned itself as a technological utopia, with early plans for traffic lights powered by AI. But you're probably thinking, there were no such islands off the coast of Malaysia. And you're right. The project entailed reclaiming from the sea, which in layman's terms means artificially creating one. Well, 4, actually. This reclamation process was achieved by depositing sediment or sand into the sea to extend the shoreline. Strategically spread across these 4 meticulously crafted artificial islands in the picturesque Johor Strait, it covers an impressive area of 1,370 hectares, aiming to redefine urban living by integrating cutting-edge design with sustainability principles. With a vision to create a futuristic urban hub, Forest City set out to harmonize the built environment with nature, featuring eco-friendly architecture, green spaces, and advanced technologies that promote a high quality of life for its residents. But the question is the project in keeping with its initial 20-year plan? No, far from it. As of 2025, it is far from finished and hasn't made much headway since 2023. In December 2023, BBC News called it a ghost city, reporting that only 15% had been completed. Immaculately kept roads are empty. Beaches, water parks, and tennis courts also show no signs of life. How has this happened when countries with less money have risen triumphant in similar situations? Take Naypyidaw, for example. Naypyidaw is the capital city of Myanmar and was officially established in 2005. It's notable for its unique and planned layout, which contrasts sharply with the bustling, traditional urban centers such as Yangon. This city cost around $4 to $5 billion to construct, a stark difference from Malaysia's $100 billion mega project. Yet, Naypyidaw has 100 times the population, at just over 924,000. So, is this a prime example that imitation maybe isn't the best form of flattery after all? Well, let's compare Forest City to what many would consider to be the closest similar mega project. Malaysia's Forest City appears to have drawn inspiration from Dubai's earlier pioneering efforts in developing artificial islands, particularly the Palm Jumeirah and Palm Daira, which were shaped like a palm tree and a world map, respectively. A key selling point of Malaysia's Forest City was its zealous plan to sprawl across 4 man-made islands, seemingly attempting to not only one-up Dubai, but two-up it, while Dubai's ambitious plans took over a decade to come to fruition, with Palm Jumeirah finally opening in 2006 and Palm Daira completing in 2008. Malaysia's Forest City has been plagued by delays and a lack of progress, which would need to be 100% complete in the next 2 years to hit the time frame it set out to achieve. In stark contrast, Dubai's islands were able to attract significant investment in tourism, transforming the city into a thriving hub of luxury and innovation. While Malaysia's Forest City was also aspiringly designed to house a bustling population, the actual uptake has proven to be a disheartening reality check. In March 2024, a report from Foreign Policy revealed that only a mere 1% of the city had been populated, with approximately 9,000 residents calling this expansive development their home. This stark disparity between the projected population and the actual number of inhabitants raises concerns about the city's viability and appeal, reflecting the challenges faced in attracting foreign residents and investors. This brings us to the city's mission statement, which, let's be honest, fell flat on its face. Malaysia's Forest City launched an aggressive marketing campaign targeting foreign buyers, particularly the wealthy elite from China. Why? Well, to better explain, it's worth briefly exploring China's investment system. Beginning in 2003, China entered a remarkable real estate boom that transformed the nation's property landscape. Spearheaded by then Prime Minister Wen Jiabao, the Chinese government shifted its attitude towards real estate ownership, actively encouraging domestic banks to extend affordable credit to aspiring homeowners and investors alike. This influx of capital ignited a stunning rise in property values, leading to a tripling of average prices by 2009. However, as the bubble inflated, many local residents found themselves shut out of the housing market, their savings rendered insufficient for the soaring costs of property. And this is where Country Garden, a leading Chinese developer, came into the picture, partnering with the Malaysian firm Esplanade Dangga 88 to launch Forest City. Forest City initially gained interest by positioning itself as a comfy residential haven, with tax incentives and thoughtfully designed units that catered to the needs of foreign ownership. The most attractive element at first seemed to be its duty-free status and tax breaks. However, this strategy ultimately backfired. As reported by Al Jazeera in November 2023, the focus on Chinese buyers inadvertently doomed the project. Chinese government restrictions on overseas capital flight, coupled with the stringent border controls enforced during the harsh 3-year pandemic, effectively stifled demand from a key demographic that the developers relied on. They noted how doubts increased in 2018 when former Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad said that foreigners would not be granted visas to live there. The ascension of Mahathir Mohamad led to a crackdown on foreign property ownership, with the introduction of stricter regulations that aimed to safeguard the local property market. These measures, which included quotas on foreign buyers and intensified scrutiny of property developments, had a profound impact on sales. Many Chinese buyers, who had previously been the primary target market for Forest City, began to reassess their investment options, growing increasingly wary of the new regulatory landscape. The once thriving interest from this demographic began to dwindle, as the risk of investing was getting too high. As the project's prospects faded, the developers were left grappling with the consequences of a changed policy environment, and the allure of Forest City as a haven for foreign investment began to lose its appeal. Many argued that Forest City was never intended for the everyday person, despite it being billed as a dream paradise for all mankind. Yet, it was quite the contrary. According to BBC News, in reality, it was aimed squarely at the domestic Chinese market, offering aspirational people the chance to own a second home abroad. They claimed that its selling prices were out of reach for most ordinary Malaysians. For Chinese buyers, the property would be an investment that could be let out to local Malaysians or used as a holiday home. They spoke with Mr. Nazmi, a Chinese man who bought a property in Forest City, who soon regretted his decision, saying, "To be honest, it's creepy. I had high expectations for this place, but it was such a bad experience. There's nothing to do here." So, it's easy to say where this ghost town status is coming from. However, Forest City's regional vice president, Cyril Izam Sarafuda, said the city's development was still on track in 2018, but admitted interest in the 5,000 unsold units was lackluster, and things would soon plummet further. Another key factor to look at in this huge failed mega project is the environmental concerns it triggered. Many mega projects around the world have faced scrutiny for their environmental footprints. For instance, the construction of the Three Gorges Dam in China led to widespread ecological changes, displacing entire communities and disrupting local wildlife habitats along the Yangtze River. Likewise, the building of the Panama Canal reshaped the landscape and led to significant ecological disruptions in Central America, affecting biodiversity and local ecosystems. Forest City faced similar issues early on. The construction of Malaysia's Forest City on reclaimed land sparked considerable concern regarding its ecological footprint, particularly given its location on fragile coastal wetlands. As the project unfolded, alarm bells rang over the potential destruction of vital habitats, the deterioration of delicate coral reefs, and an increased risk of flooding in surrounding areas. According to The Climate News, the reclamation process caused many concerns both environmentally and socially. Seagrass meadows, tropical mangroves, and the fishermen's livelihoods were all put at risk, the latter of which is somewhat ironic seeing as Malaysia's Forest City was touted to provide 700,000 jobs for local Malaysians, potentially lifting a large percentage of Johor residents out of unemployment. Local communities living in proximity to the ambitious development voiced their apprehensions about the long-term environmental repercussions, fearing that the project would disrupt not only their livelihoods, but also the intricate balance of the local ecosystem. The Climate News stated that the Johor Straits played host to Malaysia's largest seagrass meadow, something that was majorly disrupted by the reclamation process. Not only did these richly diverse areas play a key role in nature, but they were also a vital source of income for local fishermen. Declining fish stocks and rising petrol prices were regular issues that arose as a result of the development. Many fishermen have complained of reduced catches and growing petrol costs due to the extra mileage incurred by the causeway. A single boat can cost about 14,000 Malaysian ringgit, $2,928, with thousands more needed for nets, engines, and fuel, which is rather significant when you consider that the average salary for commercial fishermen in Malaysia is 27,836 Malaysian ringgit. Environmental groups amplified these worries, criticizing the project for prioritizing economic gain over ecological preservation. This mounting opposition not only ignited public discourse about sustainable development, but also contributed to a chilling effect on potential investors, who became wary of the financial risks associated with an increasingly controversial undertaking that could face additional regulatory scrutiny and public backlash. However, this was not the first thing that worried investors. As the landscape of mega projects evolves, savvy investors have become increasingly discerning, often drawing lessons from the failures of past ventures to guide their decision-making. The protracted timeline of Malaysia's Forest City development, which languished for a decade after its initial announcement, serves as a significant red flag for potential backers. Such delays can deter investors who fear that their capital may be tied up indefinitely, echoing the cautionary tales of other notorious megaprojects. Take, for example, the Berlin-Brandenburg Airport, which not only exceeded its budget by more than 6 billion euros, but also faced an array of costly delays that marred its reputation. Similarly, North Korea's Ryugyong Hotel, frozen in time and dubbed the Hotel of Doom, symbolizes mismanagement and lack of funding in a country grappling with economic collapse. Many reports estimated that the hotel cost 600 million euros to construct. Yet, as of today, it has never had a guest stay over. These high-profile failures loom large in the minds of investors, amplifying their concerns about the viability of ventures like Forest City and prompting them to tread carefully in a landscape fraught with the potential for loss. While things did eventually kick off a little bit for Malaysia's Forest City, it didn't take long for things to slow down again. As the pandemic swept the globe, its far-reaching effects were felt even in the most seemingly insulated corners of the world. It dealt a devastating blow to the ambitious Forest City project, further delaying its construction. One of the primary factors behind this stagnation was the drastic decrease in international travel, which crippled the project's momentum by severely limiting the influx of potential buyers and investors. The travel restrictions that were put in place not only hindered sales efforts, but also made it increasingly difficult for Country Garden, the project's developer, to manage the project effectively. As a result, the company was forced to downsize its workforce, creating an even bigger sense of worry. Meanwhile, in a stark contrast to Malaysia, Dubai witnessed a surge in popularity as people flocked to the UAE during the pandemic. The country's robust healthcare infrastructure and business-friendly environment made it an attractive haven for entrepreneurs and investors. Not surprisingly, the UAE witnessed a remarkable economic boom, marked by a doubling of registered companies since the start of the outbreak. Even if the pandemic hadn't dwindled Forest City's chances of getting near its projected 700,000 residents, it's hard to believe there would have been enough jobs to go around. Forest City was envisioned as a cutting-edge high-tech hub, designed to blend residential, commercial, and leisure developments into a vibrant community that would attract both residents and businesses. However, it has severely struggled to attract the necessary industries and establish a robust ecosystem that could ensure livable wage jobs for its residents. At first, it was expected that digital nomads and freelancers would flock to Forest City, taking their flexible jobs along with them. But BBC News found that this wasn't the case, and even for some of the people who did give it a try, many wound up leaving. They spoke with a 30-year-old IT engineer who moved to Forest City and very quickly changed his mind. After 6 months, he had had enough and didn't want to continue living in what he and many others called a ghost town. He said, "I didn't care about my deposit. I didn't care about the money. I just had to get out." Traveling back to the city to talk with the reporters, he said, "I'm getting goosebumps just being back. It's lonely around here. It's just you and your thoughts." Despite its proximity to Singapore, a titan in the financial and economic landscape of Southeast Asia, Forest City has also faced criticism for its relative isolation. The project is not well connected to nearby transportation networks or major urban centers, which diminishes its appeal to potential residents and investors looking for accessibility and convenience. As many people living in Forest City work in Singapore, the Sultan Abu Bakr complex, a site that houses various government offices, including customs and immigration facilities, often faces heavy traffic congestion, especially during peak hours. In contrast, one example of a mega project that has successfully managed its transport system is Singapore's Marina Bay Sands, MBS area, a $5.6 billion project which integrates effective transportation solutions within its urban landscape. MBS is not only a landmark resort, but also a heavily utilized convention center, hotel, and entertainment district. The area features 340 meters worth of pedestrian-friendly walkways, gardens, and public spaces that encourage walking and biking as viable transport options, reducing the dependency on cars. Whereas Forest City, although designed to be environmentally sustainable, its automobile-centric planning has led to increased traffic. This lack of connectivity poses a significant barrier to fostering the commercial activity and employment opportunities that are essential for transforming Forest City from a grand vision into a thriving community. As a result, the initial allure of its high-tech promise has been overshadowed by the practical challenges of developing a sustainable and interconnected living and working environment. And there's one more major issue that has been thrown into the mix time and time again in the broad conversation of Forest City failing so badly: corruption. And this ties back in with the political shifts and economic slowdown Malaysia has experienced. In the wake of the 2018 change in government, the political landscape in Malaysia took a stark turn. with the new administration, led by Mahathir Mohamad, casting a wary eye on the project that had previously received robust support from the former government. Mohamad referred to it as a negligent waste of money, and sales pretty much came to a direct halt. In fact, concerns about excessive reliance on foreign investment, particularly from Chinese buyers, and the environmental implications of land reclamation sparked discussions of potentially scrapping the project altogether. Although such drastic measures were ultimately not taken, the resulting uncertainty left potential investors in a precarious position, hesitant to commit to a project rife with instability. Amid this uncertain environment, allegations of corruption also began to emerge, complicating matters further. Notably, the Sultan of Johor, who held a 34% stake in Forest City, was accused of flouting local regulations and guidelines, casting a shadow over the project's integrity. In prioritizing profit and foreign investment over the interests of local Malaysians, Forest City not only found itself at the intersection of economic challenges, but also severe political turbulence and ethical concerns, making the path to prosperity increasingly fraught. As things currently stand, it's difficult to get an accurate estimate of how many units were sold or how many residents are living in the apartments. However, according to Tomorrow City, at the end of 2019, 15,000 units out of 28,000 had been sold, bearing in mind that many of these units were 30-story high tower blocks. And while most reports stated that 9,000 people lived in the city, which is only 1.3% of the projected 700,000, some reports estimated as little as 500 people were occupying the apartments. So it's fair to say that this project was a massive failure. But Forest City is not the only one of its kind. Many such ambitious missions born out of the Chinese real estate bubble have fallen flat on their face as well. Look at the Kangbashi New area in Inner Mongolia, where only 30,000 residents reside despite living space being able to cater to 300,000. And the New South China Mall, the biggest mall in the world, which is ironically nicknamed Ghost Mall, as it only has 47 occupied retail spaces out of an available 2,300. As of 2025, the population of Forest City is believed to have not moved past 9,000. According to Express, Country Garden is now in $200 billion worth of debt as a result of its failures. Yet, the official website still promises a bright future, using buzzwords like green, smart, dynamic, and harmonious. And the pictures resemble an utter paradise. Yet, in reality, it's far from what it's made out to be. Resident Joanne Carr, who rents an apartment with her husband, told the BBC, "This place is eerie, even during the day. When you step out of your front door, the corridor is dark. I feel sorry for people who actually invested and bought a place here. If you were to Google Forest City, it's not what you see here today. It should be the project that was promised to the people, but that's not what it is." However, it seems efforts are being made to claw back the government's dream. And, let's face it, money. In 2024, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim lodged a 0% on family officers, amongst other schemes, tax to attract wealthy people to the newly created Forest City Special Finance Zone. Second Finance Minister Amir Hamzah Azizan announced these plans, saying, "Supported by good infrastructure, a competitive talent pool, robust common law practices, and effective governance, opportunities abound for family offices." But is the damage already done? Will this mega project ever get the chance to fully prosper? We guess only time will tell. What about the best Asian countries to live on $1,000 a month?